Hi, I'm Matt, and welcome to our first meal. So we're going to be making Cincinnati style chili, or Skyline chili, because they're the ones that kind of have made it famous. And we're going to be making some Buckeyes for dessert. And this is actually going to be a two-part meal, or two-day meal. So we're going to be starting it today, and then we'll be finishing it tomorrow. And on each of our videos, at least when practical or when possible, we're going to be showing you a technique for how you can quickly and easily prepare a certain type of food. Something that might be a little bit more complex or something that some people might not know about. So the first one is going to be how to dice an onion. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our onion in half. And then you're going to take half of it and you're going to put it, well actually, we can go ahead and cut the tip off. And then we're going to go ahead and peel the outside layer. One thing that we want to make sure that you guys know right off the bat is have some patience with us and be gentle with us at first, because neither my wife nor I has much experience with shooting video. We have a lot more experience making food than doing anything with video, so things are going to be a little weird. We're going to be a little bit less skilled with all the video stuff, and we're going to be figuring it out along with you guys. So just as we go, hopefully we'll get better equipment, we'll get more experience and all that stuff, and then maybe 6 months or a year from now we'll actually look pretty good doing this stuff. So we'll see how it works. Alright, so there we go. Now we have our onion peeled, cut in half, and we cut the tip off. And then from there we're just going to just make very small cuts. The quality of your knife is going to make a big difference here. I actually forgot to bring my personal knife, so I'm using a knife. It's not quite as good. Yeah, so you're just trying to make kind of small little cuts in there, and that's why you want to leave that root on, because that's where you're going to hold it together and just make it a lot easier. And also, I learned this from Gordon Ramsay, that not cutting the root off prevents the onion from bleeding, which will make it so that your eyes don't water near as much, which is nice. Okay. So there's that. And now you're going to turn it, and you're just going to make some cuts horizontal. Alright, and then from there you're just going to Alright, and then for the second half of the onion, we're actually going to have my wife Deborah cut it using a handy tool that is made by Pampered Chef.
Hey everybody, I'm Deborah, I'm Matt's wife, and I'm going to show you an even quicker and easier way to cut an onion than what Matt just showed us. So this is a food chopper. It's from Pampered Chef, and it comes apart super easily. It goes in the dishwasher, and so we're just going to take a section of our onion. I usually cut it in fourths just so it goes a little easier. Sticking it in there and give it a couple pounds. This is also super helpful for getting all your frustrations out during the day. And chop, just nice. I'm just gonna add that to Matt's chopped onion, and we'll go on with all the rest of it. So, some of you might be interested in our story about who we are. We do have an About Us section on our website if you want to go and read about how Matt and I met and our family, and you can take a look at that. And one more, we're almost done. And it all comes apart, like I said, super easily, fits in the dishwasher. I will just put a tiny plug that I am a Pampered Chef consultant. So if you're interested in any of the products that we're using, yeah, let me know.
Alright, so you're going to want to get a big pot over medium-high heat, and you're going to add your, what the, wrong burner, guys. That happens sometimes. You're going to add your tomato paste. So there's our tomato paste, and we're going to want this to brown. Alright, so we've added the tomato paste, and it is really browning. So we're going to want to let this tomato paste brown. And get a little bit of the aromatic flavor in there. Gosh, the pan is burning, but we're going to go ahead and add our water now. So I just wanted to try that because it was in a recipe that I saw and it looked interesting, but obviously it didn't work. So sometimes that happens and you just got to work with it and make adjustments on the fly so that you don't end up with a burn taste in your chili, because that's not going to be very pleasant for anybody. Add our ground beef. And then we're going to want to stir that into a sludge, is what it says. So, oh, and I think we want to actually take it off of the heat at this point, if I remember right from looking at the recipe. So now we're going to mix it up into a really appetizing, delicious looking sludge. Look at that. Don't you just want to drink that? I know I do. Alright, so one of the things that I'm going to show you really quick is just that, so while I'm doing this, and especially at that first step, as you saw, you know, things were kind of hairy a little bit, and, you know, if I wouldn't have been able to work quickly, that could have been bad, or we could have just wasted that whole can of tomato paste. So, one of the things that you want to do is you want to have as much prep done as you can, and so if you look over here, you'll see that we have all our prep ready to go. It's all laid out. It's all in its own individual container. And obviously, most people maybe don't have enough things to have each thing in its own container. But you can have all your ingredients out ready, all your utensils or your measuring spoons out and ready to go. And now you can see that this looks very sludge-like. And I think that's ready to go right there. So we're going to go ahead and bring it back over onto our heat at this point. And we're just going to keep stirring until it forms more of a paste. So we're going to let it go ahead and simmer some of that water off. At which point we'll be ready to add the rest of our ingredients. And then from there, it just needs to simmer and let all those flavors blend together and get that really good, delicious chili taste. And like I said at the beginning, we are going to be doing this over the 2 days, so we're going to do the optional steps. And, you know, that's based on your preference. Obviously, you don't have to do that. And so you could just watch the whole video straight through if you're not going to be doing that. Alright, so we got a nice simmer going. And now the next step is to add all the rest of the ingredients except for the ones that we're going to be adding tomorrow. So we'll start off with our tomato sauce. Add all the whole can of tomato sauce. Yum. And then our onion. 1 large onion. Stir that in. And then the garlic. Okay. 6 cloves of garlic, minced. Chili powder, 3 tablespoons. Stir that in nice and slow. Now we're starting to actually kind of look like chili at this point. Before we had a nice beef, tomato paste, and water soup. Alright, we're adding our cumin. Our cinnamon. Allspice. Ground cloves. And here's one thing, when you first, if you haven't been cooking before and you're just starting now, it's going to seem like it's crazy expensive because you're going to have to buy a lot of these spices. But you're not going to use too much of these spices. So once you have them, then that's going to cut down on your costs dramatically. But starting off, yeah, it's a little bit more expensive. That's just like anything starting off, though. You have to get a lot of the tools and things like that. So, alright, this is our cayenne. If this ends up being a little bit too spicy for you, you can go ahead and cut back on the cayenne if you want. That's just all kind of based on preference. But I don't think that much cayenne will be that dramatic. Increase the hotness of it. Alright, our salt. Kosher salt is obviously the best. It doesn't have any impurities in it or anything added to it. But again, not that big a deal if you want to use sea salt or even your regular iodized table salt. And finally, finish it off with our Worcestershire sauce. Alright, and then we are going to stir. Alright, so as this is heating up and reducing a little bit of the water out of it, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how the idea came about and what it's going to look like as we're going forward. So the original idea was, I developed it in culinary school, honestly, which was a while ago. Goodness, I don't know. 10 years ago, yeah, 10 years ago maybe, almost 10 years ago at least. That my favorite class was international cuisine, and so we cooked foods from all over the world, and I loved it, and ever since then I've always been interested in kind of taking a journey around the world and trying foods that are common or well known in every country. And I have had that idea and originally kind of wanted to do a cookbook. That didn't end up it was just the logistics of it, and the fact that I wouldn't be able to enjoy other people experiencing it quite the same. Just never kind of got off the ground. So then with the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, I've been thinking about a lot more and came up with this concept of having a website and the social media and all that, so that, as I'm making the stuff, then you guys can make it too. And hopefully I'll be able to make it easy enough, and, so that you really can't screw it up. And that way anybody can make it, and we can kind of, as a community, enjoy all these foods from all over the world together. We're going to be starting off in Ohio because that's where we're from, and then we'll be traveling around the United States, and then from there it's going to take about a year. I think we're going to have a couple of actually special meals in there in that year to fill out an entire year, 52 meals, one meal a week, and then once we finish with that, then we'll be starting and going around the world, and we'll be making actually the national dish or national dishes of each country that we visit. All right, and then from here it's just simmer for 1 to 3 hours. The longer you let it go, the more those flavors are going to blend together and meld together, and you're going to get a really rich chili flavor. That's all done. I'm going to throw a lid on there. All right, see you in a minute. All right, so it's been simmering, and we're going to stir it for a minute, and then we're going to take it off and we're going to let it cool before we put it in the refrigerator, because we don't want to put it straight from the stove into the refrigerator.
Hey everybody, we're ready to make some Buckeyes. I've got my Ohio State shirt on, and these are actually Buckeye nuts, so that's what this delicious dessert is based off of. I have made this pretty often since I was a kid. It's become a fun tradition every year. So what we're going to do is cream together some peanut butter. I'm using half of a jar, a 16-ounce jar of peanut butter. So we're just going to put that in there. I love peanut butter. And we're going to cream it together with some softened butter. This is a full stick of butter. Softened. All right. And we're going to add some vanilla. I wanted to show you this. This is vanilla that we made, so you can make it yourself. Also, it's pretty easy. All you need is a small bottle like this. We're just putting in a tablespoon. You need some sticks of vanilla. You can see them in there. And then brandy. And you're going to store it really tight in a cool, dry spot for about a month, and it'll be ready to use. So give that a try. Makes really lovely homemade vanilla. All right, so we're just going to cream this together. Our peanut butter, and vanilla until it's all mixed together nicely. Now, the fun thing about Buckeyes is, at least for me, I don't feel like it's an exact science as far as amounts go. It's all about consistency. So I didn't measure out my powdered sugar. We're just gonna slowly add it until we have a Play-Doh-like consistency that we can begin to form. You're gonna use about a half of a bag. This is a 2-pound bag. So if you wanna just get a 1-pound bag, that would probably work. And again, it just depends on how many Buckeyes do you want to make. Like I said, I've been making this since I was a kid. It's been a tradition to make at Christmas time, and we usually make quite a lot to give to neighbors and friends and for cookie exchanges and all that kind of stuff. So you experiment with it yourself and decide how many you want to make. So we're gonna add some more. So I said I've made this. My mom actually grew up in Ohio. That's where she got the tradition from. And then my husband's family is from here in Ohio. So I had actually never lived here in Ohio, but my husband and I moved here when our almost 7-year-olds were first born. And so it's been kind of fun to be able to live here and keep up the tradition of making Buckeyes. So we're just gonna keep mixing this. Still quite sticky. As you can see, I'm just kind of pouring in enough to cover it, and then we add it in. The nice thing about it is if you mess up and you add too much powdered sugar, you can always add a little bit more peanut butter and butter and it'll be fine. Sometimes when it gets to this point, it's easier to just get your hands in there and start working with it that way. So that is what I'm gonna do. Get all that deliciousness off of there. Get that one more stir through. It's kind of fun if you get your hands in here, because then you have to lick them clean afterwards, right? So we're just trying to get it to the point that it's sticks together, but doesn't stick so much to my hands. So that's we're nearly there. This is a really fun dish that you could make with your kids because it is pretty simple, and of course the kids are going to love getting their hands in here and playing with it and making stuff like Play-Doh. Alright, so now we're going to take just a clump of the dough and you're going to just roll it between your hands and form a ball about the size of a ping pong ball, I'd say. Just like so. And we're just going to go through all of the dough and form them into balls just like that. Now there's a couple options for what to do after this. If you're short on time, you can stick them in the freezer for about an hour and then dip them, because we're going to dip them in chocolate. Or if you have more time, you can just put them in a bowl with a lid and leave them in the fridge overnight. Alright, well, I'm going to finish rolling these and then I'll show you how we dip them. Alright guys, we're ready to dip our peanut butter balls in some chocolate. We have a double boiler here with the water warming up on kind of medium-low. And we're going to add some paraffin wax first. We just cut off about a 1/16. It comes in a big block like this. And you're just going to slice off how much you need. So we're just going to put that in there and let that start melting. And then we're going to add about a 1/4 cup of chocolate chips, semi-sweet chocolate chips. And a couple of these cubes of baking chocolate. Get all those little shavings. And as you can see, it's starting to just all mix and melt together. The paraffin wax is for just helping it to stick to the peanut butter balls. Now we're going to do 4 bars of Hershey's chocolate. I suppose you can use whatever brand of chocolate bar that you want. Just regular chocolate bars. And I had mentioned in the video that you could chill your Buckeyes 2 different ways. Either in the fridge overnight or putting them in the freezer for at least an hour. So we went ahead and did both of those things, and the consistency of them, the feel, the texture are really about the same. I would say the freezer ones are maybe even a little bit more chilled. So I was a little surprised by that, but it's kind of fun to test that out and do both ways and see. So really, we can say with surety either way will work. So we're just going to let this melt completely, and then I'll show you the technique for how we dip them. Alright, so you're going to want to set up kind of like this with your peanut butter balls, your chocolate, and then some wax paper. You can just have it here on the counter, or if you they're going to need time to chill. So basically, if you have time to just leave them on the counter, that's fine. If you want to put them in the fridge, you might want to put the wax paper on a cookie sheet and have them like that. So you're going to take a toothpick, poke it in here, and then we're just going to stir it kind of around. So you're getting 3/4 of it covered in chocolate and the top left plain with just the peanut butter. And then you can set it over here on the wax paper. And I usually take that opportunity to just kind of push together and cover up that toothpick spot, but it doesn't really matter. It's just kind of preference for how you want it to look. So as you can see, we just kind of give it a couple swirls, and then we're going to twirl it up here to get that chocolate stopped, and then just lightly press on the peanut butter part to get it there onto the wax paper. And on it, obviously, this is just kind of a trial and error, just takes time. You might get some big globs of chocolate, woo, like that. I just hit it on the spoon. So just do your best, it's for fun, and they're going to taste delicious no matter what.
Hey, alright, so we're back. We've got our chili right here. We're going to go ahead and defat that. We've also got our water that has just started boiling that we're going to get ready for our spaghetti. So first we're going to go ahead and we're going to skim the fat off this chili. And as you can see, I kind of messed up with this yesterday. I stirred it after I had finished simmering it. I probably shouldn't have done that. So you can see that the fat has kind of been mixed back in. So we're going to skim as well as we can. And then let it be what it will from that point. Alright, so we got all the fat skimmed off. We're going to go ahead and turn this on. And you're going to want probably a medium-low heat. We're going to go ahead and let that go. Let that get back up to a simmer. We've got our water here. We're going to go ahead and salt our water. Anytime you're making pasta, you want to salt your water. It's going to keep your pasta nice and kind of that firm consistency that you want with pasta. Get a nice generous dose of salt in there. Stir it around until that dissolves. And again, you want to use a little bit of a pure salt. I wouldn't use table salt for that, but whatever you have on hand is probably okay. Alright, now we're ready to go ahead and add our spaghetti. We'll just go ahead and throw that in. And then we'll let that cook. Alright, so our spaghetti has been in here for just a minute or two, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and stir it in. So that way it'll all cook evenly and give us some nice good consistency on our spaghetti. So you want your water to be at a nice rolling boil. Alright, so our chili is now at a simmer and our spaghetti is nearly done. You're going to want to stir that just every couple minutes or so while it's cooking, so that way it doesn't stick together, it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. And then you're only going to let it go maybe 10 minutes. You can kind of check it once it gets about 6 to 8 minutes. And then from there, you know, just look for the consistency that you like. So we're adding the apple cider vinegar and the chocolate. Alright. And we'll go ahead and stir that in. As soon as it's stirred in and melts, the chili will be done. And then I would say our spaghetti will probably be done at that point. We're going to go ahead and plate up, and then we'll be back to show you the finished product.
Alright, we've got our Cincinnati style chili all ready here. This is what we call a 5-way. And what that means is it has the spaghetti, the chili, some kidney beans, cheese, and some chopped onions on top. And we've got some yummy oyster crackers here on the side. Now, you don't have to make it this way. You can just do the spaghetti and the chili, or do it anyway from those 2 things all the way up through to all 5 things, whatever you prefer. So we're gonna dig in and try this out. They're already digging in.
All right, just finished dinner and just finished cleaning up afterwards, and we're eating our Buckeyes, enjoying them. Everything was really delicious, really awesome. Everything turned out really well. I can say from experience that the chili was very close to Skyline's chili, very much a Cincinnati style chili. So if you try and follow that recipe exactly, you'll get the very classic, authentic Cincinnati experience. Even
the kids ate it. It was good.
Yep.
I think with the spaghetti in it, that helps, like, the kids to kind of like it and have fun with it.
And the Buckeyes are amazing.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so,
man.
Yeah, hopefully if you haven't tried them before, you are experiencing a little taste of Ohio.
And they really are pretty easy to make, so definitely give it a try. And like I said, have the kids help you. It's fun. And make sure to tune in next week. We'll be doing Michigan.
Yeah, we'll be up in Michigan. We'll be making pasties, which are little meat-filled pastries, or meat and potatoes usually. I'm not sure exactly what we're putting in yet. I haven't really looked too much at that recipe. We'll also be making some Detroit-style hot dogs and some cherry pie for dessert. So that'll be yummy.
Make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. We do some fun live videos, some kind of behind-the-scenes stuff. You get some sneak peeks and kind of like, you know, some scenes before we actually post the video. So that's pretty fun. And we're on the other social medias as well. So just look us up, Our World Table.
All right. We'll see you next week.